Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Mindy here, and today I'm going to talk about something I'm really excited about. This is a fragrance. It's called Atara by Malul London, and it circumvented all of the other fragrances that I had on my wants list. I've seen four people talk about this fragrance on YouTube so far, and the reviews seem to be sparkling. I also went to Fragrantica, and there are only 5 reviews, but they seem to be really good about this fragrance, and so I had to find out for myself. Now, of course, I was cautiously optimistic because a couple of the people that I watched talk about this fragrance did have either discount codes or some sort of sponsor, and so I wanted to use my own discretion to figure out if this one was for me. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just know that there have been many reviews over time where I don't agree with, and so I like to discover for myself how I feel about different fragrances, and this one is no different. And so I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. The packaging is beautiful, it's whimsical, it's eccentric, it's got this aura to it, bright colors, which is beautiful. And already I really truly do enjoy the packaging. And so this is the front of the fragrance. It's clear, and the back is beautiful colors as well. It's got a wooden cap, and it's just a nice design. So what really piqued my curiosity about this fragrance was specifically the note profile. I'll talk about the pear note in a little while, but what made me really want to dive into this fragrance specifically was the praline, patchouli, vanilla, and tonka bean. Now, I've seen that combination before in other fragrances that I have and enjoy. Fragrances like La Nuit Trésor have praline, patchouli, vanilla, and tonka bean. La Vie Belle, Good Girl by Carolina Herrera. And there are other fragrances I have that have a praline note that I also really truly enjoy. The Angel EDT, Eau Croisière Angel, Cloud, Love by Sofia Vergara, Kenzo Flower L'Elixir. Just a lot of fragrances that have a similar combination that I truly enjoy. So I was optimistic that would be the case with this fragrance as well. Now, a couple things that I've seen on this fragrance specifically is that it is considered to be seductive and sexy, but it's also compared to La Vie Belle, which makes sense because it has some of those same notes in the fragrance profile. And then also it's compared to the Angel EDT fragrance, which I agree with and I'll talk about in a little while. Now, this isn't totally unique in the sense that it's a sweet gourmand. It has, as I mentioned, some comparisons to those other fragrances, but what sets this fragrance apart in my mind is that pear note. It takes a little bit of a different direction, takes on its own identity and personality simply because of that pear note. Now, I've seen somebody mention that they were convinced that they smelled grapefruit here, and when I initially spray it, I feel that same way. There's sort of a sharpness, but then a brightness that comes with this fragrance when you first spray it onto your skin. But that dies down, I would say, over 20 to 40 minutes, and it turns into this sort of warm, cozy gourmand, but it's still sort of bright and sparkling because of that pear note. So for me, this fragrance is gonna work really nicely in the spring and summer months. I'm gonna do a quick comparison of this fragrance to a couple others that I have in my collection, and I'll explain why. Another fragrance we're all fairly familiar with at this point, if we're fragrance enthusiasts, is La Belle by Jean-Paul Gaultier. And the reason I bring this fragrance up is because it also has a pear note in it, a very noticeable pear note. So I thought it'd be fun to compare the two and sort of explain to you why I feel that they are different. So I mentioned this one's a little sparkling, it's bright because of that pear note, and while it does warm down to sort of a warm, cozy scent, it takes a completely different direction than La Belle. La Belle goes very earthy to me. It goes sort of deeper than this fragrance, and some people would say that this is more of a cool weather fragrance. Now, I reach for whatever I'm craving, whenever I'm craving it, so I'll wear La Belle whenever, but I do think there is sort of a depth to this fragrance that might be preferable for some people to wear more so in those cooler months. I did wear it camping before. It was a little heavy camping. It was very hot out, and I just felt out of place in that particular situation. But like I said, I'll wear this when I want to. They are just different fragrances, and I feel like this one is probably a little bit more versatile than La Belle, simply for the fact that it's more wearable for those really hot, warm days, at least as I see it. Now, one thing that I find interesting is that the notes in this fragrance are all also in La Vie Belle, the original fragrance. Now, I love La Vie Belle. If you've been watching my channel, you know that. I love the flankers maybe a little bit more than the original. But when you look at the original's notes, it also has blackcurrant and pear. It also has praline, vanilla, patchouli, and tonka bean. So I definitely get some similarities between these two fragrances. Where I think the difference lies is that La Vie Belle has iris, jasmine, and orange blossom in the mid, and it might take a little bit more of a floral direction. Now, this one is warmer to my nose than Atara, and Atara tends to have, like I've mentioned, more of a brighter, almost fresher, but it's still warm, if that makes sense. But it has that noticeable pear quality that really stands out to my nose, and it really dominates this fragrance. Now, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just very noticeable, and to me, very wearable. I think if you like La Vie Belle, there's probably a good chance that you would also enjoy this fragrance as well. If you like La Belle, I also think there's probably a good chance you'll like this. They are similar. The fragrance that I think it comes the closest to in my mind is the Angel EDT, and here's why. The Angel EDT has notes of peony, mandarin orange at the top. It has praline, apple, and red berries at the mid, and then it has patchouli, cedar, and white woods at the base. Now, these two fragrances are reminiscent of one another. This one tends to follow a similar path as Angel EDT. And actually on Fragrantica, I see this one compared more to the EDP, which I'm not as familiar with. I've really been exploring, deep diving, enjoying the Angel EDT version. In fact, I'm mad that I slept on this for so long, really loving this fragrance. But this one really seems to have a lot of that same profile as Angel EDT. If you were to pull the apple and red berries out of Angel EDT and put the pear in this one, I think you'd have sort of a similar fragrance. Now, this one, as I mentioned before, has praline also, and it has patchouli, so that might be where those similarities come to play. I love this fragrance, and I love this fragrance as well. This has grown into a love. It started as a like, wore it a couple days in a row, and it really grew on me, and I would say this one is now a love. If I had to rate them, I would say the Angel EDT is maybe around an 8.5 out of 10 for me. This is probably a 7.5, 8 out of 10. And so this is also one that I'm really gonna be enjoying over the next few months as it warms up. I do think though that the Angel EDT will probably sneak its way into my top 11 fragrances. This one I'm not totally sure yet. I need to wear it a little bit more. One thing I've noticed is that projection and sillage are good, but they're not really heavy. So I think they're probably a little bit softer in this fragrance than in Angel EDT, but I need to explore it a little bit more to know for sure. And yes, I agree with what I've seen other people say before about this fragrance. It is pretty, it's beautiful, it's crowd pleasing, it's stunning, and it's also seductive, as other people have said before. Okay, real quick, I'm gonna go out and read what is written about this fragrance on Fragrantica. I believe it's pulled from the Michael Malul website. Smart, seductive, exquisite, exclusive. A little mischievous, but always sophisticated. Atara is the little black dress of fragrances, featuring enticing top notes of blackcurrant pear while almond-like accords of tonka bean, praline, patchouli, and vanilla mingle to create a warm and gourmand base. And I agree with all of that. I think it's also addicting on top of that. I've been wearing it a couple days in a row, and I do keep sniffing. So I can confirm here that I agree with other people who have talked about this fragrance, that it's a beautiful one. This house has other fragrances as well. Electric Heart is one I've read about, and I think there's some men's fragrances as well. Maybe they're unisex, called Citizen Jack. One thing that did bum me out about this fragrance was when I went out to get their discovery set, it's $9.90, it's free on their website. They charge a $9.95 delivery or shipping fee. And so you can explore a lot of their fragrances, but the two fragrances I wanted to try, which is Atara, of course, and then also Electric Heart is one I'm curious about, are not included in their discovery set. So definitely a little bit of a bummer that you don't get the opportunity to try those fragrances. And I had already seen reviews on this one. I already bumped it higher on my want list and wanted to move forward with the fragrance, but it would be nice if they included it in their discovery set so you could get a comprehensive view of what this fragrance house has to offer. There's a piece of me that really didn't want to like this. You know, I had mentioned that I moved it up higher on my list because I've seen people talk about it, and it was pure curiosity that got the best of me. I wanted to know what it was like, but that did mean some of the other fragrances I really wanted to explore moved lower on the list, and it's a bummer when that happens. I sort of didn't want to like it. Has this happened to you guys? I didn't want to like it because now it opens the door for another fragrance house that I have to explore and sample and test and probably buy full bottles of. And as a fragrance enthusiast, we're just always chasing after the next best thing, and sometimes that becomes exhausting. But I'm definitely excited to have another fragrance in my collection that I'm enjoying, one that I like, one that is wearable, crowd pleasing, that will fit a lot of different circumstances. I don't know if I would wear this in a business setting. That's something that I'm kind of questioning. I think I would. Yeah, I think this is appropriate for a business setting, just like La Vie Belle would be. I think the Angel EDT would be as well. So yeah, this does fit that profile for me as well. This is very wearable. As I think about it, I do find this fragrance to be quite versatile. I think you could wear it any month. Maybe some people would prefer this in the summer months. I really would pick this up anytime. I think you could wear it to a variety of different settings. It's appropriate for business. Even though it has a little bit of a seductive quality, I do think it's appropriate for that type of office wear. I don't think it would be over the top or offensive to anyone. And I also think it's mass appealing. I think a lot of people would enjoy this fragrance. I don't think, like I mentioned, anyone would really truly find it offensive. So it's all around versatile, a great fragrance to reach for, and one that I'm excited to have in my collection. I can't wait to try some of the other fragrances in this line to understand what this house has to offer, but for now, this one is good and I do recommend it. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys. If you've checked out this house or you've tried any of the fragrances from it, please let me know in the comments section below what you think, what fragrances you're digging from this house, and let me know which one I should try next. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'll see you soon.